Welcome everyone to the second episode of QCast. I am your host, V underscore Glory underscore
I think we get it.
I think I got all V's. I might have missed one or two. Sorry. And while I'm updating the host list, because we lost some of our hosts, I will introduce our only host here, Pengo 1998 from Nexion Armada. Pengo, say hello.
Hello.
Yes, unfortunately, this is what happens when we don't do streams on Saturdays because people are busy, and yeah, underscore. So yeah, had everything ready, and then just kind of shit got crazy. So unfortunately, it will just be me and Pengo. But we'll have some fun. It's probably going to be a very short stream. Oh, hello. That's weird. Okay, that's not correct. Crap. There we go. That's better. Maybe, I don't know. That looks stupid, but okay. That's fair enough. Anyways, okay, good enough. So it will basically be a shortened episode, because we had a few topics prepared, but unfortunately, if the people we kind of wanted to do something a little bit more, just instead of having me basically talk, we wanted to actually kind of have everyone else choose a topic that they wanted to discuss, and then we would then discuss we would each give our own input. However, with only two hosts, that kind of went out the window. So we will try and keep it going for as long as possible. Probably only about 30 minutes though, because I think Pengo's busy. So that'll be it. Unfortunately, shit happens. Anyways, so this episode, I'm going to try not to say the word interesting as much, because looking back on the original episode, I said it way too much. That was basically the only thing I said. But before we begin with talking about topics, just a little bit of I just want to give a bit of a thank you to basically everyone, for the support. Our stream from last week, the first episode, is sitting at 143 views right now, and that's just amazing. I know some of them are probably repeat views, but still, just that blows my mind, and I cannot thank you for letting me do this. And I'm having fun while doing it. I'm having fun streaming, talking about the game that I want to play, and yeah. All right, so all thank yous and everything out of the way. We got a little bit of an interesting show. Oh shit, I said interesting. Fuck. Okay, we got an intriguing show for you today. One, because it's only with two hosts instead of five, and two, because it is. So not much has really happened over the past week. There's been a few things that have been happening behind the scenes. However, I don't think it's really in my place to really say what's been going on. So I will not go into it, but hopefully, eventually, I will be able to say there's been some interesting stuff going on with politics and everything. So maybe next week we'll have another political discussion that'll last like a half an hour. Anyways, so Pengo, do you want to start with your topic, or should I start with mine?
Either works for me.
Let's start with your ship topic, because that one actually kind of pertains to, that could actually pertain to kind of like what we do, because we have,
Yeah.
So what do you want to talk about?
Well, the topic is the practicality of larger ships.
Okay.
Due to the amount of player interaction that will be required in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, a lot of the guns will require a person in them. I don't remember seeing anything about there being a automated weapon system of any kind.
I know that they are going to have AI to assist you. However, I think stuff like that will be probably very inefficient. They've said like the mining stuff, so I'm guessing they'll probably have something to deal with weapons, but probably going to be very inefficient. So,
well, yeah, and that's my point. If it's going to be so ineffective, then it's not going to be very practical in larger scale. However, at the same time, though, you might see a very large fleet commanded by a lot of reasonably sized ships, but are manned with as few people as possible, using mostly overwhelming number of weapons that are AI controlled. So even though they're likely to miss, enough of them you're gonna hit. But at the same time, you're not going to be able to lay down precision fire with that, depending on how they implement that. So the only thing is, because I've seen, you see some people, like Terran Union has over, like 400 people?
Yeah.
And even assuming all those people actually get in, I'm pretty sure not all of them are going to want to sit there on a ship 24/7 waiting for a battle that may or may not ever happen.
I agree.
So it will be hard to keep large ships manned constantly.
That's very true. I put up the ship profile of our Sentinel class, since it's the biggest ship that we are currently planning on making. Since it kind of pertains to that, it is going to be very. What's another synonym for it? Interesting. I need to pull out a thesaurus here. It's going to be very questionable, the practicality of large ships. I do think they will be around, but
oh yeah, they'll definitely be around, but I have a feeling that most of the time they won't be fully manned.
I think what's going to be more seen, more common, would be something along with. Hold on, I'll try and shoot. Oh, wrong thing. Hold on. I apologize. I'm a terrible streamer. Okay. Hold on. You're going to see something more like our Hyperion class. It's a smaller fighter. Well, not a fighter, but it's a smaller carrier.
Yeah, because the Sentinel was almost a kilometer long.
The Sentinel, I wanted to keep it under a kilometer, but yes, it's 850 meters long. So, and it can carry a maximum of 226 fighters.
Yeah, something the size of the Hyperion would be much more.
Yeah, 24 would be a lot more manageable.
Yeah. Not to mention it, because the thing is, though, too, you're probably going to need the ships to be a reasonable sized if you want people. If people are actually going to stay on those ships, they're going to need stuff to do on it.
Yeah,
and so like it's kind of so. One thing I was thinking with my ships is that I would have, I would have each ship would have at least a reasonable sized hangar bay, not necessarily for fighters, but just a general cargo and hangar bay, and allow people to store a single personal ship there that they could then use. That wherever we are, they could take their personal ship out and go do stuff. So like if we're over the city, they could take their ship down to the city, or they could take their ship over a system or two and go mining or whatever. This way, even though you're on the ship and you're stationed there, you would still be able to move around and do stuff. You just have a limited range of where you could go.
Yeah. See, the problem with that is that with my ships, we want to keep it compact to hold as many fighters as possible.
Well,
so we would probably definitely have a cargo area, a general cargo area for the people on board. However, do I think that it will be. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to do it because again, game's not out yet, so I can't really say how I'm going to do it. And I don't think anyone can really say how they're going to do it because.
Oh yeah. Well, the big issue right now is knowing how large the ships actually need to be in order to fit things, because we don't quite know the exact scale of the engines that we're going to have and the guns and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
and so that could have really, changed the size, the dimensions of the ship quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, back to shitty streamer mode. Since we're talking about fighters now. Hold on. Okay, there we go. So pulling off of what I did with the Raider class, basically what I did with that, I made it so I watched the original shipbuilding video that they did of their of the ship that they made during the the Kickstarter. So
but that shows more of the smaller stuff, because you're talking about the one where they were talking about where they were doing the fighter, but that's also the smaller end of stuff. So you might be able to kind of estimate the fighter itself, but there's also the issue of the larger ships, the larger engines, the larger weapons. We have no idea really how big those are going to be.
Yeah,
because at least as far as I know, they haven't released any information on that.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about with the fighter and stuff. I was able to really, I think, accurately depict how big the fighters are going to be, without really without even having that much of a without having that much of a knowledge base. I was able to kind of figure it out with the fact that I was able to take measurements when they were in grid mode and stuff like that with trying to figure that out. So I was able to sort of figure it out. However, I'm guessing it'll probably change, and I know that they have different engines now and stuff like that they've shown off. So unfortunately, I don't know the dimensions of them. So right now, I'm kind of just keeping this. It would be nicer to kind of actually make the fighter a bit flatter, to be honest, because the engines are the single tallest thing in the Raider class. So it will be. So hopefully they will come out with other things, but unfortunately, damn it, it shows up on the recording. Crap. Great streamer, right? See, this is why I need to become a better streamer. I'm terrible at this. But hey, it's the second episode. I don't care. Okay. And yes, Dret, is there really no one here? Yeah, there's only 3 people watching. And probably one of them is probably Pengo. And one of them is you. So there's someone else. Anyways, I honestly don't mind because, I can just post this and people will watch it then.
Plus, it'll get views later.
Yeah, exactly. So that's about it. All right, let me switch back.
So I sent you beyond ships too. There's also the whole tank thing as well. Like that tank image I just showed. I just sent. I haven't really watched many of their videos, but if you look at the tank and that rough model of it, there's a single gun that's on a mount.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going? I don't know if you know if we are going to have anything like that. No, yeah, go for it.
Okay. I already asked that, and then I already clicked on it, so it would have already shown up already. But oh well. But yeah, it will be interesting. It will be. I stopped myself from saying interesting. It will be.
Just give it up. Just give it up.
Give it up. Well,
I'm just curious as to how they're going to implement ground vehicles, because we're going to need them. You're not going to want a ship in every situation because ships fly and they're going to be up off the ground quite a bit more. Mm-hmm. And so they're going to be harder to get into areas. So if you need to enter, say, a very large factory structure and you need armor in there or something, you can't take a ship in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not practical.
Yeah, of course.
So a tank, for instance. So I'm kind of curious to what sort of things that we'll have that could be used to make tanks, like the turret, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Are we going to be able to have a structure, so like a ship, and then on top of it have like a rotating turret mounted to it that has like custom turret, so not like a pre-built gun turret, but a individual, like sort of its own entity that can freely turn on top of the main ship, and then have a gun that can point up and down.
Yeah, I think that's the main issue why they're not bringing in like mechs at the beginning, because all of those turning parts and stuff. So
Yeah, it would definitely cause increased stress in the server.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the second you introduce something like that, everyone's going to be making random stupid crap out of it, which can cause problems.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of hoping that they do at some point.
I'm sure eventually they will. Like, because we have our own tank designs too. I've showed them off to my Discord. Yeah. What they look like, and they also involve a movable turret.
Yeah, so it might be a good idea to design some tanks that are more of a tank destroyer style, mm-hmm. or ones that are just built to have a one of those prefab turrets mounted on it.
Well,
and by the tank destroyer, I mean one that basically points the gun forward and can point it up and down, and that's about it, if even that.
Mm-hmm. Well, keep in mind that even if the turret won't be movable, it could still technically be a tank destroyer.
Well, yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be considered a tank destroyer, but it would have that style of.
Yeah, it would still have a that thing.
Although it would be extremely difficult if you can't move it up and down, because you'd have to be on even ground with them, and they'd have to be directly in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a feeling, at least early on, it's going to end up being more like just a tank hull with a big turret strapped to it.
That could very well be the thing. It will be very. I keep on leading myself into it. I need to stop saying interesting. I really cannot wait to see what weapons will be available for ground vehicles, because they did say ground vehicles are definitely going to be a thing, but they won't have tracks and wheels and stuff like that, because again, moving parts and everything. So you with hovercraft, you'll be able to create tanks and armor. They've said that. However, I'm not sure what exactly we will be able to create with it, and I think no one really knows how to create with it. We can only theory craft at the moment. Probably there will be some form of maybe missiles or something like that will have automatic lock-on, so we won't have to, we won't have
missile destroyers.
Yeah, which I think, looking back at the tank design that I showed off, I think I can modify that to make it have missiles instead of just a main gun. It'll just be a little bit weirder.
Yeah, well, it'll also depend on the size, but if they do have missiles, let's just say 90% of my fleet will be guided missile destroyers.
Yeah,
I like missiles.
But anyways, back to the topic of big ships. You're right. All of the designs that we, along with a lot of other industrial orgs, have come up with right now, we don't really know. We really can't say that they're going to be in game, definitely. As much as we want to hope that they will be, we can never say that for sure. But we take the risk when making them, and hopefully, they my designs specifically that I've made. I feel like they're rather plain. They aren't really anything special or too complex, and they offer a lot of space to work with. So I'm hopeful that my designs will work out, and I'm sure some of the other, and I've seen a lot of the other designs. I'm sure a lot of them will work out. It's just right now you don't want to do complexity until you know how crazy it's going to be. So
no, there's nothing wrong with complexity, because even with a complex ship, it's still completely possible that you can get it to work out in the way that you want it to. It'll just take a bit of work. You'll have to resize it.
Yeah, resizing and everything like that. So,
but I mean, at the same time, though, you're more than likely to be resizing any ship that you designed before the game was released. So
we'll see what happens with that whole thing. I'm not exactly sure what it's going to be like, and I don't think anyone has any idea on what it's going to be like until we get alpha. Which, speaking of which, you seen the third wave for Alpha Team came out?
No, I have not.
Full list. It's on the forums. A couple of the people in our Discord are members of the third wave of the Alpha Team, so I congratulated them. Shiny Magnemite's one of them. He was going to be one of the hosts today, but I guess he's not awake. So, oh well. I think, Blitz is also going to be one of them. Congratulations to Blitz. A few of the other ones are in here. Kurok, of course. There's a few other ones. So, there's actually, 50 members in the third wave. That's actually quite a bit, which raises the total member count to 100. So 100 members of the Alpha Team. So that will be interesting to see, because I'm sure, like, from what it seems like, the common consensus is that they might get Alpha early. However, we don't know. And I'm not going to.
I don't think they would. It depends. See,
if they get it early, it's going to be only. I do like. I had
a
discussion with this today.
First group will get it a few weeks before. Yeah, it might be first group gets it a few weeks before. The next group gets it a week later.
Yeah, and then
just
and then
so
the
that
third,
this way they can slowly ramp up the number of players.
Like first wave gets it like couple 2 or 3 weeks before initial release. Second wave gets it a little bit later, then third wave gets a little bit later. And
this way they can slowly increase the number of players on the server on average. So this way they can test it without going straight to full load.
And also reward them a little bit, because they are, like, at the moment, I think the only thing that that they, like, that the Alpha Team gets is just a forum, something on the forums. I thought it was a forum title. Could be wrong with that, but so we'll see what happens with that. Alpha Team members gathered by the community selection process will be renamed soon as Alpha Team Vanguard. All members of the group will get their forum status updated next week and will have access to a dedicated forum section. So that's basically the rewards. Will they get it early? Maybe. That was the whole thing. That's the whole thing on that. Like, I will be interested to see what how that will go about, and part of the discussion also was, will there be an NDA on those Alpha Team, like, getting it early? Again, it sounds like probably not. I'm guessing once Alpha becomes available to all the backers and everything, I'm assuming that there won't be. I'm assuming there won't be an NDA, because it would probably be. It would be very what's the word, like, weird if they did an NDA on the whole thing. Yeah. As you can see, we're really energetic today. we're tired. It's been a long.
I'm not tired. It's just hot.
At the moment, it's just like we had so much energy going into the first episode. I wanted to kind of tone it down a little bit, just a bit.
Well, we might want to move on to the other one that you want to go over.
Yeah. this the link to this is in the description. Planets running out of resources. This kind of goes with the whole thing I was talking about a little bit with like the game isn't out yet. It was started like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, about 2 weeks ago. By and they were being like they were wondering if uh like how will like what will happen with resources and stuff on the planets and everything. Um, so, uh, and my opinion on the whole thing is that will there ever be a time when a planet runs out of resources? I'm not sure. Again, none of us are really sure, and all and you know, the game isn't out yet. But I do think there might become a time where they are so, like people will say there is no more resources on a planet. Of course, because it's so damn hard to find it. Will that ever be the case? Who knows?
Well, see, I think that they should have planets run out of resources because it will basically force people to not sit in one single spot for the entire time. They will have to move around to actually get resources because just like real life, a planet only has so much resources before it's out. Now, given that it's a very large amount of resources, it would take quite a while to exhaust them, but nonetheless, they would eventually exhaust. So, for instance, if you take a very large organization, we'll use Terran Union because they're the largest.
Yeah.
And they decide all of them are going to settle on a very specific planet, and all of their like allies or that are allied to them only will also do that. So you're probably looking at 500-600 people sitting on a single planet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, even if those people are spread out, in fact, even more if they're spread out, you'll have a lot of mining going on all over the place if they don't have any rules on it. Mm-hmm. So eventually, if they keep the numbers and they keep building bigger and bigger stuff and they keep going on, eventually that planet should run out of resources. It might take quite a while. It might take months. It might take years. But eventually it'll run out. Mm-hmm. And when it runs out, then it'll kind of promote actually going out, exploring the surrounding area, and then possibly even far in the future, you might have to go to war with another group to take a planet from them.
Yeah.
That has resources that you need. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know how big they're going to have the stuff. So I'm kind of hoping that it'll be big, but also not so big that you run off in the middle of nowhere and never see a player again for the rest of the time you play.
One thing about the whole thing, and keep in mind, basically what we're saying is basically been kind of said the entire, like, basically everything that we've said is in the, like, replies to this question. Nothing really new is being discussed, but I feel like it would be kind of an interesting thing to bring up again, just because it is a legitimate like question, because we really don't know. Like, they've said that they aren't going to respawn resources and everything like that. So, like, let's just use Alioth for example. Alioth, of course, is the starting planet. What, like, in the starting zone and stuff, you're just going to have a bunch of holes. I'm guessing that there will probably be a huge, like, that, well, not a huge industry, but like there will be people running around saying like, hey, we'll fill up these holes and stuff like that with like where all the resources and stuff were dug out. I feel like that would kind of be a little bit of a new idea that some people haven't totally thought of yet. Like, what are you going to do? Because I'm assuming that there will be tons of holes where they dig up like iron and stuff like that, because that's going to be pretty common, I'm guessing. So, like, you're going to have all these holes and everything. That'll be interesting. And also in the okay, Pingo. Also with discussing in terms of, like, I think one of the replies said like the ships in the beginning, like, to get off the star planet will be cheap enough to leave, like, will be cheap enough for any player to get to leave the starting planet and get somewhere else. But another thing that again I think will kind of turn into a rather large, sizable industry will be public transportation. You have all these. You're going to have a lot of trade routes. What about public transportation that'll follow those same trade routes just to cart players around and everything like that for a fee?
Yeah, I have a feeling most of what could turn into public transport won't necessarily be an actual public transport infrastructure. It'll just be existing freighters that are already going between point A and point B, taking in a passenger or two for a bit of extra money on the side, because just so they can get around. Because you're a freighter captain, you're looking to make some more money. Hey, look, someone happens to want to ride from point A to point B, and you're running that route, may as well.
Yeah.
As long as you're sure, as long as you're careful and they're not a pirate.
Yeah.
Last thing you need is to get on a ship and then them broadcast your position to their friends, and suddenly you have a few ships dropping out on you.
Yeah. It will be. I really will be interested to see how what happens in terms of public transportation. Just because I do think that it's going to be at the start. I do think that it is going to be what you describe. However, I do think that eventually there will almost have to be some form of that. I feel like people won't trust.
There won't have to be a form of it. Because you gotta keep in mind, this is going to be player controlled. Once someone's out of that area, for the most part, they're not going to care about the people who are still stuck there. That's just the way it is. A lot of them, I don't think, are going to care. They're just going to leave them there. Well, they can find their own way off. I mean, not only that, that's the entire planet that they'll have to work with.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't think it's going to be that bad to where it's going to require other players to give other player right off the planet, or out of the starting area at the very least. So I don't think it's going to be quite that bad. But there is going to be that issue, though. At some point, that planet might run out of resources. What are they going to do then? Because I mean, they could give players a starting amount, enough to build a very basic ship that can get off the planet and go to, say, another planet in the system. So no special, no jump drive, none of that stuff. Just able to get off the planet, go to a moon or another planet in the system to mine.
Yeah. And another thing that I think will be very big in the starting area will be there will be a lot of recruiters and stuff like that for organizations and stuff. That's going to be that's going to be something that people need to remember, because they'll be able to join up with organizations and they'll probably offer transportation off the planet.
If you join an organization, they're more than likely to offer the transportation. Exactly. I know I would.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll get you off this crap planet.
I'll do anything for members. Anyways. Alright, I think that's about it. Unfortunately, like I said, with the limited number of hosts and also with life being as crazy as it is, unfortunately, we really can't keep it going for that much longer, because Pengo has a birthday party. Isn't that right?
Yep.
Happy birthday. Well, wait, it was on the 2nd, so happy belated birthday. Anyways. But anyways, so I'm going to end it off here. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe. Really helps us get our content out there. Follow all of us. Follow us on social media. All those links are in the description below. In addition to Pengo's links, links to also all the things that we talked about. And next stream will definitely be next Saturday. Like I said in the forum post, it would have been this Saturday. However,
hopefully people actually show up.
What?
I said hopefully people actually show up.
Yeah, Sunday. See, Saturday, it's good to actually have it on Saturday, in my opinion.
Because Sunday you've got any religious people will have
Yeah,
church, and I know that some religions when they go to church it's like more than half the day.
Mm-hmm. And also people do afternoon stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Like I know in my town people do afternoon services and stuff like that. So and unfortunately the butt clenches were supposed to be here, but they had family matters to deal with. So um, hopefully next week it'll be a little bit better of a stream. But yeah, it'll definitely be back to next Saturday at 1 o'clock. That's basically the set time that we do this stuff at. So thank you all for watching, and yeah, see you next week.